Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account, and before we do get into it, there is mentions of rape within the story, so if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. It's titled, My 30 Male Fiancé 38 Female is angry that I got my daughter 5 pairs of running shoes. My fiancé has 3 kids, 16 male, 19 female, and 13 male with her ex. Meanwhile, I only have 1 kid with my ex, my daughter 14 female. My daughter is a state qualifying cross-country and track runner. This means that her training schedule is rather intense, with her weekly mileage reaching into the high 70s and low 80s. At her most recent sports physical, I asked the doctor how often I should replace her shoes because I'm sure they get worn out pretty quickly with the amount of miles she's running each week. The doctor recommended switching the shoes out every 6 months, as well as get 2 pairs of shoes so she can switch out the pair she's wearing every other day or so. However, her shoes may need to get replaced earlier depending on how intense her weeks get. After the appointment, I took my daughter out to a few athletic stores so she can pick out a few pairs. I told her to pick out 4 pairs of running shoes, 2 for track season and 2 for cross country, and I told her to pick out a pair of spikes for her races. I spent over $300 for her shoes. When we came home, my fiancé saw the bags my daughter was holding, and my daughter excitedly told her about the new shoes she had gotten. My fiancé stayed quiet until later that night while we were getting ready for bed. She started yelling at me for being irresponsible and a horrible person to her own kids. She said she was very mad because I should also get her kids' shoes if I'm spending over $300 for my daughter. I mentioned that we agreed we would each provide for our own kids on our own, and her kids don't play any sports. They all sit in their rooms all day on their electronics. Even when I do buy them something, they never say thank you or appreciate what I get them. She got even angrier, and now she hasn't talked to me still. It's been 2 weeks. How do I handle her anger towards me for not getting her kids shoes when I got my daughter shoes? Now for me, I'm reading between the lines, which I'm not sure is fair or not, but it seems like, and again, it could be just because it's text format, that it's almost like 2 separate families just living together. Because look, I don't think OP's the arsehole at all for providing these shoes to his daughter, something his daughter needs and was recommended by a doctor. It also seems that you have an agreement that you would each provide for your own kids, etc. But then there was the line after that says they all sit in their room all day on their electronics, and when I do buy them something, they never say thank you or appreciate what I get them. And it just screams, bigger problems going on in this household. And then 2 weeks of silent treatment? Holy moly. I mean, OP provided some more information on the daughter and said, money is not an issue for me. I make a lot, more than enough to live comfortably. My daughter's passion for running will never die down, so she won't quit. She tells me every day that she can't wait for practice so she can go on a run with her friends. Her foot size has stayed the same since 7th grade. She just started freshman year, so I'm going to assume her foot size is done growing. Also, as a runner, it is her responsibility to have a well-balanced diet, stretch, roll out, and utilize her recovery runs and rest days efficiently so that she does not get injured. Of course, injuries happen, but she does things so the risk is minimized, and she has not had a serious injury in her running career. Commenter says, these are simply my opinions. One, as a former high school runner of a similar caliber, 5 pairs is a bit much all at once. 2 pairs now, 2 pairs when track actually starts, and a pair of spikes for each season would have been fine, and it's probably the right way to go ultimately. But buying them all at once probably is what got the shock factor ramped up for your fiancé. 2, as someone who's been in a relationship dynamic similar to yours, any relationship where yelling and insults are seen as a way to resolve disagreements and conflict is bad news. I highly recommend counseling before marriage. On the back end of 2 years of individual counseling post-divorce, I know how much we both could have used it beforehand. Hope you replied saying, thanks for your opinions. I suppose I could have waited, but I leave for a work trip in the beginning of January, which is when her track season starts, and I know my fiancé wouldn't take her to get her shoes even if I sent her money for it. It just made sense to me to get them for her now rather than wait. The track shoes are put away and ready for her to take out when track season starts. Though I do want to say that money is and has never been the issue. It's what I spend money on for my daughter that my fiancé has issues with. To your comment on therapy, she's been medicated for depression and anxiety since she was 20. She goes to therapy herself weekly, but she doesn't like the idea of me going with her. And again, there's just more red flags on the back of that comment jumping out to me, saying I know my fiancé wouldn't take her to get shoes even if I sent her money for it. I mean, what's going on here? So OP added another post which was titled, "Am I the arsehole for buying my daughter a gift when I didn't buy my fiancé's kids one?" My 30 male daughter's 14 female Nintendo Switch completely stopped working earlier this week. She got it the month it was released, March 2017, and kept it in good condition for over 6 years. Yesterday she had a conference cross-country meet where she both personal recorded and qualified to run state. To celebrate her new achievements, I took her out to eat and then bought her a new Nintendo Switch with a game she picked out. My fiancée, 38 female, came back from her parents earlier today and saw my daughter playing with her Switch. She asked me about it after my daughter left with her boyfriend, and I told her I wanted to celebrate her accomplishments in her running career, so I got her a new Switch as a gift. Fiancé then got really angry and told me that if I'm going to buy my daughter something, then I have to be fair and buy her own kids, 19 female, 16 male, 13 male, something too. I pointed out that I do buy her kids gifts when they reach goals and achievements too. For example, I bought my stepdaughter an expensive Hello Kitty necklace as a high school graduation gift and let both the boys pick out 2 video games when they both passed their final exams. She told me that it's unfair I spend more on my daughter than I do on her kids because I make a lot more than her. Fiancé got angrier and accused me of not liking her kids because of the different financial treatment between her kids and my kid. She left with her 2 sons, but her daughter stayed with me at the house because she's on my side. I got a bunch of texts from her family calling me a selfish arsehole for treating her kids differently when buying gifts. Am I the arsehole? Edit. To answer some common questions, because there's a lot of comments and it's hard to get all of them in a timely manner. How does your fiancé treat your daughter? And says, my daughter and fiancé don't interact much. They're both polite to each other, but they simply don't talk much aside from small talk, and my daughter asking her some questions about cooking food. I've mentioned to my daughter before that if fiancé ever were to mistreat her, she needs to tell me, and I will always have her back no matter what. To my knowledge, my fiancé doesn't mistreat her at all. They just don't talk much. Someone says, do you have a will or a trust in place? Opie says, I will have a will set up that gives my daughter everything. My will is safe with a very trusted lawyer friend of mine. I also have a trust in place for my daughter, and she will gain full access to it once she turns 21. Someone says, did you have this argument in front of her children? Opie says no. She called her kids down and told them what we were arguing about. I told them my side, and her sons took her side and left with her. Someone says, what is your relationship like with her kids? How are they with your daughter? Opie says my relationship with her sons is unfortunately minimal. I tried to talk to them about their favorite topics or hobbies, and they either ignore me or shut the conversation down as soon as possible. I don't talk to them much either, other than when they come to me for advice on things like school, friends, etc. Our relationship with her older daughter is very good though. I'd like to think we are close. As for my daughter, she doesn't talk to her stepbrothers much, but she's extremely close with her older sister. Hope this clears up some things. Edit 2 to clear up another few common things being mentioned. My fiancé has not always been this way with my daughter and me. She started getting much more defensive when my daughter finished middle school. And not with my fiancé for sex. My sex drive is low and so is hers. Her children's father is not in their life and does not pay child support. My daughter's mother is not in her life either. Someone said to OP, not the arsehole. He only replaced her old Nintendo Switch, so technically it wasn't a new gift. Also, you should be able to buy your daughter a gift and not expect to buy everyone else a gift. How long have you two been together? OP says we've been dating for 4 years, engaged for 2. I've known her for 7 years though. Someone says OP should sign the prenup before getting married. OP says she's against signing a prenup because she takes it as me thinking of her as a gold digger, which I don't think she is. We are comfortable staying engaged. Someone says, does OP get along with his fiancé's children? OP says, her sons do not talk to me that much. I try to have daily conversations with them and talk about their favorite hobbies and such, but they either ignore me or try to shut down the conversation as fast as possible, aside from when they come to me for advice on things. But other than that, we don't interact with each other much, other than me giving them gifts. I would say I'm close with her older daughter though. Commenter says, not the arsehole. How does she get along with your daughter? Do her kids get along with yours? Do you all live together? Opie says my daughter and her don't really interact with each other other than simple greetings or when my daughter has to ask her a question about cooking and when she's making food. My daughter doesn't have a problem with a minimal interaction with Fiancée. As for Fiancée's kids, my daughter and them get along fine. She doesn't talk to her stepbrothers that much, but she's very close with her older stepsister. It's great to see. When her older sister gets home from work, they go out to eat and shop around and stuff. We do live together. The house is under my name and I pay all the bills as well as mortgage. Commenter replied to OP on that saying your daughter doesn't have a problem with it because she is scared of causing an argument and be hated even more than she already is. Out of everyone who lives in the house, her daughter is the only one who gets on with apart from you. That is disgusting. She's being isolated and you're allowing it. You seem to not be bothered for your daughter's well-being. She's been ignored by the grandparents as well, so Fiancée has a big support system, and coincidentally when things don't go away, they all message and call you and side with her. Are you that scared of being on your own that you will subject your daughter to this constantly? You are not your fiancé's ATM. You can spend your money on who you want, when you want. Her kids are not your responsibility. It's not your fault their dad doesn't have anything to do with them. When you get married, you're going to be putting your daughter in such a risky situation. She's already jealous of her. If you do stay with her, I can see your daughter turning 18 and leaving with this boyfriend and having no contact with you. Is it really worth losing her over your fiancé? I think you need to open your eyes, or better yet, stop making excuses for an entitled gold digger. It doesn't matter if her family has money and buys things, you've been enabling her behavior. And so has her family. She thinks she deserves your money, please leave her. Commenter says she doesn't buy your daughter anything. Does she buy her own kids stuff? How is the relationship between your fiancé and your daughter? There seems to be some projecting here. Her reluctance to sign a prenup is also concerning, as she may not be a gold digger, but she is definitely interested in keeping access to your resources. Not the arsehole. It may be time to reconsider this relationship. Opie says she does buy them stuff, but not often, I don't think. The majority of the gifts they get is actually from their grandparents. They stay with them almost every weekend, and their grandparents buy them lots of gifts. They know how to manage their money well, and they make a lot, so there's no issues there. It is just me and my daughter. I don't have any other family, and she does not have a relationship with her bio mum. My fiancé and daughter don't interact much aside from some simple questions and such. OP on setting up a will. OP said, I've set up a will that gives my daughter everything. My fiancé does not know about this though. The kids don't have a relationship with their father, and he doesn't pay child support. OP responds to a commenter who was downvoted about having a 14-year-old daughter at his age. OP replied, and this is where the trigger warning comes in place. It says, I was raped. I didn't willingly have a kid. I don't appreciate that comment. My daughter is my world, and I had a conversation with her about relationships and everything. I trust her, and I support her through everything. Someone said, is OP expected to pay for his fiancé's children's colleges? OP says, me paying for their college has never been discussed. If I was expected to pay for their college, I would refuse. I make a lot of money, but not enough to put all 3 of her kids fully through college. I'd have to get jobs. I can only fully cover one kid's college, and that will be my daughter's. Someone says, does OP own their home? OP says, yes. My home and cars are under my name and my name only. Commenter says, not the arsehole. Your girlfriend has a problem with your daughter, and she is trying to use you as a proxy for her jealousy. She didn't care if her kids got anything. She was just pissed that you did something special for your daughter. Think about it. She didn't get jealous until your daughter became a teenager. Is your daughter a real pretty girl? It sounds sick, but she is a pretty woman in your life and she has no control over it. Opie says, I didn't think of it that way. My daughter is pretty popular at school. She's got friends, she's an amazing athlete and outgoing. She has a boyfriend who's also popular and athletic. She's pretty, but I never thought a grown woman would harbor jealousy over my own daughter because of her social status at school. And the final question before the next update says, does Opie's fiancé work? Opie says she always had been getting money from her parents. They're well off and always helped her out with rent, housing, food, insurance payments, bills, etc. Right before the pandemic hit, she wanted to move in with me and spend more time with me. So this is where the update to that last post came in. Opie says, I made a post yesterday asking if I was the arsehole because I didn't buy my fiancé's kids a gift, but I bought my daughter one. I wanted to thank everyone for the positive feedback and the kind support as well as the helpful advice I had gotten. A lot of people asked for an update after I've talked to Fiancee. So here you go. She came back at 12 in the morning alone. She said she left the boys at her parents' place because she doesn't, in her words, want them in the presence of a man who won't provide for them. I sat her down and talked to her about a lot of things, and a lot of you were right. This is not the woman I want to marry. When I first brought up how she doesn't bring anything to the table when I pay for everything, she didn't want to talk about it and kept dodging the subject. I brought up how unfair it was of her to expect me to provide for her and her children when she doesn't do anything for my daughter and the bare minimum for me. She doesn't do house chores, she doesn't pay bills, except her and her daughter's car payments and car insurance, and she spends minimal time with both me and my daughter. Fiancé didn't say anything. Then I talked about the financial and emotional abuse. She freaked the fuck out. She started yelling about how it was my job as the man to provide for her and her kids, when I make so much more than her and they have no father figure. I'm all they had, and she kept bringing up that excuse for her behavior towards my money and how I spent it all on my daughter. When I asked her what she expected me to do about my will or a prenup, she told me that any good husband would put his wife above everyone else. She'd been banking on me giving her everything I had for over a year at this point. I don't like yelling at all, but I was at my breaking point with her at this point, and we yelled at each other a lot. It's not my finest moment, and I'm ashamed, but I realized that I let so much happen and my daughter suffered as a result of it. I told her about her neglect towards my child, and I will not tolerate it any longer. She is my number one priority over everyone else, and always will be. I don't think Fiancé believed me when I said that, but I guess she realized I was serious when I told her to start packing. I'm done being an ATM for that lady, and it's crazy to think how strangers on the app made me realize how I was stuck in such a toxic, manipulative, and abusive relationship with her. My now ex-fiancé won't be a problem anymore, I hope. I don't think I'll be with another person for a long time, but thank you to everyone for the support and kindness. Edit, my ex's daughter will be staying with me and I will financially support her through college, and will also help her get her own place. Her and I are on good terms, and I want to make sure my ex will not be using her as a token to manipulate me any further. So we do have another update in a moment, but people were asking more questions. There's always questions, right? Someone says, did she change her tune after you told her to pack? Any apologies? Or did she just leave bitterly? Opie said she started crying and begging me to let her stay. No apologies though. I felt bad because she kept saying I was leaving her poor and defenseless, and now she has to stay with her parents. Another commenter says, so happy for you and your daughter to be rid of that toxic person. Most of the time it takes another person to point out something that you don't see. That's when you start to see that person in a new light. Rose-colored glasses for sure. Will you still try having a relationship with her daughter? Sounded like you, your daughter and her got along well. Sad her boys didn't even attempt to play nice with you, even after all you did for them. I bet their mother was manipulating them so you couldn't have one. God forbid they like you more than her. Opie says since her daughter is a legal adult, my ex doesn't have a say in where she lives. Her daughter will continue to live with me until she's able to get herself her own apartment, but she still has contact with her mum. Commenter says, I may come across as quite harsh yesterday, but my intentions was to try and make you see how bad it actually was for your daughter and how much you was manipulated. Well done for putting your daughter above all. Do not let her friends and family bully you into taking her back. Good luck and protect yourself and your kid. Opie says your comment stood out to me because it addressed the reason why my daughter might not be telling me what really goes on when she's alone with my ex. I plan to talk to her later today when I pick her up from her boyfriend's house. I received a lot of harsh comments, but I realized now it was necessary. I don't think I would have been able to leave my ex if possible on the outside, if people on the outside were nice to me about it. Commenter says bravo for tossing this gold digger out, bravo for choosing your daughter. She left. The trash took itself out, and I think it may well be apparent why the first marriage failed on her part. Just hope she isn't knocked up, and if you do hear anything about it, make sure there's a paternity test. I just hope not, because you will end up chained to this woman for a long time. Opie says I got a vasectomy as soon as I turned 18. I mentioned this before, but both our sex drives were low, and mine was even lower, so our sex life was pretty non-existent. If she showed up on my doorstep claiming she was pregnant, she would need to have some proof that it's mine, or I'd get a paternity and DNA test done. So it was 12 days later that Opie came in with the latest update and said I wanted to make a post to say a few things, mostly to answer some questions and also because I saw my post get reposted in a few subreddits and they've gained lots of popularity. I just want to start off by saying thank you so much to everyone for the kind words. Your support means so much to me and I'm truly grateful for the community here. You all have opened my eyes and helped me a ton. Of course, there's the other side of the coin where I got some hate. A few comments of claiming my life is fake and bullshit, and then some weirdo in my messages asked me for pictures of my daughter's feet. Fucking, there's some rare people out there, right? It's not worth my time to focus on the bad side, but regardless, thank you to everyone for your input. All of it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. A popular question I have seen and get asked around is how the hell I got multiple pairs of shoes for $300. The answer is simple. Discounts. A good friend of mine owns an athletic shoe store downtown, so I went there. Got a discount because she goes to the local high school and because she's on the team. Also because he's my friend. I'm eternally grateful for him. He's done me real good. On the topic of shoes, many people have asked me why I've gotten my daughter track shoes now, even though it's cross-country season. The answer to that is also really simple. I won't be here. I leave for a work trip when her season starts, so in my mind, it made sense for me to buy all the gear she needs now while I'm still here. Though I suppose it doesn't matter much now because her season is quite literally about to end, and then indoor track season starts shortly after. My daughter and I are fine. I got her into therapy, and I think it really helps her. Ex's daughter is also fine. I offered to get her into therapy too, but she said she'd handle it on her own time, so I figured I'd just let her handle it on her own. She's an adult, and I now recognize that she's capable of being responsible with her mental health, and recognizing when she needs to get help. Both girls know that they can come to me whenever, wherever, for whatever. I did get security cameras installed and nothing has happened. It's been peaceful. Also, to answer another common question, yes, I became a parent at 16. It was not my choice, but I'm glad something good came out of that situation. I work in a chemical plant and I've been working there since I was 19. I got extremely lucky with this job because, truth be told, I didn't even go to college. I'm grateful for the opportunities I have had to be working in a good paying job with just a high school diploma. Thank you again to everyone's support. Commenter said to OP, good to hear your daughter is in therapy and doing well. Any updates on X after you broke up with her? Did she try and pull any gold digger stunts or did she leave peacefully to her parents? OP says nope, it's been peaceful. Commenter says, when did the ex move out? How did that end? So happy to see you and the girls doing good. OP says I kicked her out last week. As you can imagine, she was definitely not happy with that. Commenter says, good on you, OP. You are a great dad and stepdad. What was your stepdaughter's relationship like with her mother? It's interesting she chose to stay with you and the boys go. Did she favor the boys and treat them differently? OP says from what I can tell, she actually favored her, I think, because she's the oldest and is her firstborn. She did baby and coddle the two boys a lot though, especially the 13-year-old. And one final comment says to OP, have you tried reaching out to the sons? Sucks that they're the ones caught in the crossfire here. I guess there isn't much you can do if they don't want a relationship, but it sounds like they need a good parent, and probably therapy more than anyone. Well, other than your ex, of course. OP says I have not tried reaching out. I don't have their numbers anymore, and I don't want to contact their mum for any reason. Like one of the comments mentioned, I couldn't help but feel for the kids in this situation as well. It always gets to me. You know, an absent bio dad, no child support, and mum that's doing this kind of shit. But also, OP did try it, did say that he attempted daily conversations about their hobbies, bought them gifts for their achievements, and offered support as well. And in the end, you can't force that relationship, especially maybe someone who's been poisoned against you. And it certainly felt like there was hints of that. But it also sounded like she was counting down the days until marriage, so she would be claiming what's his at the same time. You know, arguing against that prenup. Red flags all over, right? But holy moly, what do you guys make of this situation? I'm also glad that he cleared up how he got those shoes for $300. I was like, what? I mean, I bought a starter pair of running shoes and they cost me a bloody bomb. But anyway, what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.